be here today. Thank you so much for giving up your precious time and grabbing a seat, grabbing the feedback, getting comfy. And who's looking forward to learning a little bit more about abundance in your life? Amazing. So my name is Regan Hillyer. I'm a speaker. I'm really not, actually. I've never ever been trained as a speaker, but apparently I speak a lot. And I'm also a coach and an entrepreneur. I have multiple different businesses, and I'm really honored and excited to be here with you guys today. We're going to be digging deep. My intention is to really throw you guys in the deep end a little bit, and to spend some time rewiring your unconscious mind so that you can create more of what you love in your life. Would that be good? Yeah. My intention also is to maybe open your awareness and show you the difference between trying to manufacture your life versus letting the abundance flow through you. Who's with me on that? Awesome. I'm talking to the right room. So, would you guys like to hear a little bit of my story before we dig into everything? Where I've come from, why I'm here? Would that be a good thing? Yeah. Awesome. I know some of you guys know me really well, and lots of new faces for me, which is amazing. So, I have a weird accent. I was born in New Zealand, not Australian, for the record. I was born in New Zealand, in Auckland, New Zealand. And I was fortunate to have an amazing family, and they really believed in following the system, right? They believed in working really hard and going to school and getting good grades and doing that. Who else has done that, by the way? Right. And so I did just that, and I worked really hard at that. And you know what? I hit about 17, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And so my dad always wanted to be an architect. He dropped out of school when he was about 14, and he always said to me, you know what? If I had an opportunity to do something with my life, I would be an architect. So I didn't know what to do, so I thought, well, that seems like a good thing, I'll go and do that, right? So I started studying in university, and architecture is a bit of a full-on degree to dig into, especially if you don't love it that much, right? And I was sitting there, doing the do, right? Being in the system, committing to working really hard, getting really good grades. And I remember sitting in this lecture theatre, and this new lecturer walked in. And I thought, oh, this is good, a new face, maybe he'll have something exciting to say. And he did. He stood up the front and he said something along the lines of, welcome future architects, welcome to your future. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to picture your life 20 years out from now as the architect that you're becoming. And so I sat down and thought, this is cool, and I closed my eyes. And I felt absolutely sick to my stomach. Who else has had that sinking feeling, right? Where you just know that you're doing something, but it's putting you on a path which isn't aligned. It's putting you on a path which is taking you away from the truth. And it's putting you on a path which is creating some sort of result, but it's not the result you deeply desire. And I had one of those moments where it's like my mind kind of disconnected from my body, and my body got up, and it started running, and it ran. And without even thinking about it, I picked up the phone and I called my dad. And I had tears streaming down my face. And bravely, I said to him, Dad, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be an architect. It's not for me. And there was this moment of silence, and to my surprise, my dad said, hey, baby, I support you. You know what? If you don't want to do that, that's okay. I want you to be happy. I want you to do what you love. I said, really? And Dad said, yeah, of course. But then he said, so what are you going to do? And I said, well, just give me a minute on that one, right? I had absolutely no clue. So has anyone else here been in a place where you're so sure on what you don't want to do, but you've got absolutely no idea what you do want to do with your life, right? That was me. And so that's what threw me into the world of personal development, of coaching and education and mentoring and really digging deep. And, you know, I'd love to say to you guys, you know, I wanted to really change the world and you know, contribute to more charities. I didn't. I really just wanted to find a way to feel good. I wanted to find a way out. I wanted to find a way to not be in the system and do something that I love and create an amazing life. Is anyone else there? Where that would be a good starting point, right? So I went really nuts on the whole personal development thing. You know, the personal development junkie. Don't know if there's any of them in the room right now. I was one, / still am, right? And so I spent over $500,000 over 10 years on my own education, and still do, right? And I went nuts on it. I was learning everything from how to start businesses, how to invest in property, how to learn sales and marketing, like everything I could get my hands on. And I got to this point where I was investing all this money I didn't have. I was getting further and further into debt, and my life wasn't really changing. And I remember I said to one of my mentors at the time, you know what? You know, maybe this life just isn't for me. Maybe I should just get a job. Maybe I should have just been an architect. Like, maybe I'm not one of those people, right? And he looked across from me and he said, Regan. And he laughed in my face. I was like, well, that's not very kind, firstly. I'm like really vulnerable here, telling you that I'm really unsure about this. And he laughed right at me and he said, look, Regan, you've got it all backwards. He said, you've got to flip it. And he said, you know, do you know the 80-20 thing? I said, well, what do you mean? He said, exactly. And he said, write this down. And I encourage you guys to write this down if you're not already ingrained in this. He said, success is 80% psychology, 80% mindset, 80% the energetic game, 80% the alignment of your internal will, and then only 20% what you do as a default of that. Only 20% the strategy and the action that you take on the outside. He said, Regan, you've got to go backwards. He said, what are you doing right now on the 80%? He said, well, not much. He said, right. So that's what threw me into working on me and completely unattaching from how am I going to do it? How am I going to create success? How am I going to create more abundance? I let it go. I completely unattached. And I thought, how can I become the version of me where that stuff simply shows up as a default? Who would love successful things and people to just show up as a default because it's just who you are, right? So I went deep, and this is when I started learning NLP. I started training as a hypnotherapist. I started digging deep into timeline therapy. We're going to play with some of those amazing tools today. And what was interesting is I noticed my life started to change. I noticed every single area of my life started to shift and evolve. And I started becoming happier. And it was across the board. It wasn't just money. It wasn't just business. It was everything. And people started coming to me really naturally, saying, hey, Regan, you know, I've been watching your journey, and how are you doing that? How do you do this? And I started teaching people what I knew. I started just telling them, well, definitely don't do this, 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 and this. And I would recommend you do this and this. And they started getting results too. They started changing their lives. They were coming back to me and telling me, and that's when I thought, wow, you know what? This is it. And for that first time ever in my life, that is when I felt like I tapped into purpose. And it went beyond me, little me, trying to figure out my life, and it tapped into something that was bigger than me. When I saw the impact that I was creating on the world, when I saw how I could touch and inspire people to change their lives, and it was this ripple effect that went on to do the same. Who would love to create a bigger ripple effect in the world, by the way? Simply because of who you are, yes. And so that's when I started my first coaching business. I started working with people one-on-one. And I really created myself a job, right? I was on the phone 8 hours a day, loving what I did, had no time, I was super stressed out, right? And I thought to myself, okay, this is crazy. How do I still do what I love, but how do I accelerate it? How do I reach more people? How do I play a bigger game in this world? And that's when I started speaking. At first it clocked. I was like, I can spend an hour talking to 10 people rather than 10 hours talking to each of them, right? And so that's what threw me into the speaking side of things. Now what's interesting is I partnered with someone who was my age as well, from New Zealand, and together we formed a coaching and education company. And we grew that business to roughly $1 million a year, and I was 23 at the time. Now, so many people said to me at that moment, wow, Regan, so lucky, you know, this is so cool. Look what you've done, look what you've achieved. If only I could have a little bit of what you've achieved in my life. And it's funny because I remember this exact moment where I had about 40 people in a room that had invested thousands of dollars to come hear me speak. And I was standing outside the room, and I walked up to the door to walk inside, and I didn't want to go inside. I had that weird sinking, churning feeling in my stomach again, just like I had at university. And I kind of said, come on, Regan, like, get us together, like these people are inside. And I went to move my hand to open the door, and my body didn't want to go in. And so I went in to fulfill the room and to honor the people that had showed up, but I didn't ignore that feeling. I dug into that, and I was like, what is that? And all of this was running through my head around, shouldn't I just be grateful for what I've created? Right? Shouldn't I just be happy with this? Isn't this enough? I went to Bali for 4 weeks, and I went deep into the internal work. And I realized that although I'd created something, I'd manufactured it. I hadn't done it from a place where I surrendered to it coming through me. I was so obsessed still with trying to find the answers, trying to create the answers, that really I needed to get out of my own way and let what was inevitable come through me. You guys with me right now? Are you getting this? Right. And so I went to Bali, I went deep, and I made some commitments to myself. I made a commitment that I was going to boldly stand in my message of what I believe in this world no matter what. And feel free, you can take any of these if you want them. I made a commitment that I was no longer going to look externally for the answers. Instead, I was always going to go within. I made a commitment that no matter what other people were telling me to do or that I should be doing, I was going to follow my truth and align to my purpose each and every single day. And so from that place, that's when I started to surrender. That's when I actually committed to abundance. That's when I allowed abundance to flow through me instead of looking at how do I create it. I stopped asking about how. I stopped worrying about the strategy. Instead, I simply surrendered to what needed to come through because I became available. I increased my capacity to listen. I increased my capacity to receive. And this is what I'm going to talk to you about today and really get you guys into how do you can increase your capacity to simply be a vessel for the abundance that is trying to come through you. Guys, the world is trying to co-create with you right now. It really is. It's knocking on your door and it's saying, I'm here, wake up, like please, come on. But we keep getting in the way, right? Our ego gets in the way, our strategy gets in the way, how do I do it, show me the answers gets in the way. When instead you need to trust and you need to flow. So, the business that you see today, if you go online, is amazing because it's different from me. It's not about the results, it is about the fact that it hasn't been manufactured. It's flowed through me, it's in alignment, it's created from a place of purpose and truth. I'm fortunate enough to travel the world with my love who's filming so beautifully down here. And we do really deep transformational work with people. We go deep, we get them centered into their core. We show them how to completely transform their lives. We show them how to become more available so that they can create whatever it is that they're looking to manifest, whatever their abundant life is, they can tap into that from a place of ease, from a place of flow, from a place of trust, from a place of figuring out how do I actually do less, become more available, and receive more. Does that sound good? Right. Everyone go, yeah. Yeah. So what I want to dig in with you guys today is really looking at how can you take this and start to become more available and start to really tap into what is my abundant life? What does this look like? And what can I do internally so that I can become more in this world? So that I can receive more, but also so that I can be more, so that I can do more, so that I can touch more people, so I can inspire more, so that I can really live the life that I was put here to live at the end of the day. So let's just get a couple of shout outs. What does abundance mean to you guys? What does abundance mean to you guys? Flow. What else? Freedom. Right now. What else?
Connect my camera to her microphone.
I'm really bad at writing. Speaking and thinking at the same time. Doing one here. Okay, what else, guys? Flow, freedom, connection. Generosity. Love. Love. Generosity.
Maybe
Peace. Oh God. Energy, right. Time. What's that? Time. Yeah, time freedom. Trust. Nature is one of the most beautifully abundant things in the world, right? Anything else? Health. Energy. Nice. Who before that story may have said money, be honest? Who thought they were coming from about money? Tap into abundance. Who thought they were coming to learn about money? When you say receiving abundance, tap into abundance. A lot of people tag money as being abundance, right? And at the end of the day, it's a huge part of it, but I'll give you a hint right now. If you want to change your money game, go and look at the rest of it. The money's simply a default from all this. And once you truly know how to tap into abundance, once you truly know how to live an abundant life, the money can't not flow. The money's simply a default, it's an energy, it flows through you so that you can become more available and do more in the world at the end of the day. Okay? So, the first thing I want to dig in with you guys, in terms of receiving more abundance in your life and what this looks like, is getting you totally clear on your vision. Okay? I talk a lot about alignment, and I go deep with people around what does it really look like to live an aligned life. Who else here would think it was amazing amazing if they could wake up every single day and be in total alignment with their truth. Right. That would be amazing. Now, I get asked it all the time. It's one of the questions I always get asked in interviews and when I work with clients. I say, Regan, how do I get further into alignment? How do I live in alignment? And the question is very simple. If you rephrase it, you simply say, well, what are you aligning to? What are you aligning to? If you don't know what you're aligning to, then how are you meant to be in alignment with it? Right? And so once you're clear around what are you aligning to, it becomes very simple. Your life becomes very easy. Making big decisions becomes very, very, very easy because it's simply a question of, okay, this decision, is it going to take me further into alignment with my truth, with my vision, or is it going to stand me away? And that's it. People get so caught up in the details when really, you just simply need to look, well, what is my vision? What am I calling in? What am I creating? So when I say vision, I think you really, really, really need to understand that there's two types of people in this world, and I've already touched on them. The first type is someone who creates a vision from ego, who creates a vision from what is it that I want in the world, okay? Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. You can definitely get results from doing that. But the second type of person says, what do I need to become available for which needs to flow through me? What am I here to do in the world? If I am to truly become a servant of the world, what does that vision look like? Knowing that, of course, you can have all that you want in your life. Of course, you can have the amazing things, the money, the time, the relationship. You can have all of that. But that's simply a default of the vision that you're becoming available to receive. Who's with me on this, right? Now, you get to choose who you play. You can choose to play from what they teach you in school of setting goals and what you want in your life. Or you can choose to play around really expanding into something bigger, becoming more, so that you can tap into creating something that's so much bigger than you. It's exciting, but it scares you each and every single day, right? Scared people in the room, raise your hands. Right. Well, leaning into your super close, if not already, tapping into creating and receiving this vision. Now, when you go into a vision work, write this down. You want to make sure that you look at every area of your life. We get really, really tricked, I guess, as humans by going, okay, there's generally one or two areas of our lives that we kind of want to focus on, right? You think, okay, well, I just love to increase my income. Or I would really love to manifest a beautiful relationship. And we get kind of stuck on that. We get a little bit obsessed with it, right? I mean, even Oprah says, hey, you can have it all, but not all at once. I disagree, okay? You can absolutely have it all at once. You can have it all on your terms. And you can have it at a super high level across the board. But the trick is, you have to choose. You have to commit it to the world. You have to declare it to the world. Because what happens otherwise is that you get what you ask for. You create the money, you create the business, you manifest the beautiful relationship, but at what expense? All of a sudden you have the beautiful relationship, but your income goes down the drain rather than the drain. Or you create the money that you're looking to manifest, but you're tired and overweight and you've got no energy left. And for me, that's kind of not worth it, right? Wouldn't it be better to create an abundant life across the board, tapping into every single area of your life? So what areas do you guys think we should look at? What's important? Just shout them out.
Health.
Family, health,
Education.
love, education,
Spirituality.
freedom, spirituality,
Adventure.
adventure, fun, expression, character, finances, absolutely. And you can really take each of these and break them down into detail. I mean, the basics, for example, would be to say money. But okay, what does it look like in terms of cash flow? What does it look like in terms of investing? What does it look like in terms of just freedom money that you have each and every single month? What does that look like? And really actually getting clarity on that, getting clear on that. Because here's the cool thing, guys, we're a connected unit, right? We're a connected unit, and when we do focus on one area, everything is going to rise with it. But if we're intentional across the board, we're just going to elevate even quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, okay? So who thinks that they've done, you know what, a little bit of visioning work before and you're kind of clear on your vision, you could probably spend some more time on it, but you know how to go and do the work on this, right? Nice. Okay, the rest of you are like, no, you don't know what a vision is? Super confused right now? This is way above your head? Okay, I'm assuming you guys know how to sit down and do some journaling or do some meditation or some visualization, right? And tap into your vision. Now here's something super powerful. And when I learned this completely changed my life. And this massively accelerated the physical results that were showing up in my reality, okay? So I understood the basics. I understood, okay, I know how to manifest a vision. I know how to get clear through every single area of my life. And one of my mentors sat down Regan, do you want to 10x that? I was like, well, of course. And he said to me, you see, everyone's unconscious mind has a cap. We have a limit. We have a limit of what we can see. We have a limit of what we can tap into. We also have a limit of what we can receive. So in order to create a bigger vision showing up in your external reality faster, you need to increase your internal capacity to touch more, see more, experience more, breathe more, and tap into a vision at a deeper level. So you do this by simply what I call tapping into your upper limit, right? So once you've done your visioning work and you get super clear on this, you simply want to go, okay, what's next? And you want to have every area of your life sorted like this. And you want to take one area at a time and simply go, okay, if that vision was already my reality, if it was already here, if I was already living into it, what would my vision be? Can you see how most people don't think of the vision of the vision? They don't think of the upper limit of the limit. They just go for the limit. Now, often we don't necessarily hit our limit exactly when we want to hit it. But what happens all of a sudden when you start expanding your mindset and expanding your energetic capacity to really receive this, all of a sudden the vision gets a bit smaller, right? It gets a bit easier. It's like, oh, that was really just my vision? Oh my gosh, what about this vision? So you take it piece by piece. If the goal is to manifest $100,000, great, you've already received that. What's the next goal? It's probably not $100,000, right? Maybe it's 120, 150, 200, whatever. Write it down. Start feeling into it. Start getting clarity around it, right? Because if you can't see beyond where you're going, your brain will literally not manifest it. And this is the scary, crazy thing. Your unconscious mind is wired to protect you. It's wired to keep you safe. It's wired to keep you in your comfort zone. Okay, what happens in your comfort zone? Do you grow or not grow? You don't grow, right? So it's wired to keep us there. Now, we want our unconscious mind to keep us safe. We want it to actually keep us there. Because if we didn't have this ability to keep ourselves safe or not, we'd see a cliff, think it was exciting, and walk off the edge. Right? So we're not looking at shutting this down, but we are looking at how do we play with this so it doesn't get in the way. How do we actually show your mind, if this is the vision, then this is the upper vision. All you're telling your unconscious mind is, it's safe. It can handle it. It's actually a good thing. Because if it can't see above the vision, it marks it as blankness, darkness, death, and it's going to go, don't manifest this because I don't know what's on the other side of it. You guys with me?
Yes.
Right? So can you see, simply by increasing your capacity to do this, you start going, wow, all of a sudden the results start actually manifesting even faster, okay? So, next thing I want to run through with you guys. I'm going fast, but you guys all right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a lot to get through. I'm like so much in my head right now. So, firstly, tapping into your vision, getting clear through every single area, and then expanding your vision so you have your upper limit, your upper vision. So your brain doesn't shut you down and keep you stagnant, but instead moves you towards higher levels of expansion. Next thing you need to look at is your identity. Okay? You've got to look at your identity. Now, what I mean by this, quite simply, is how are you showing up in the world? Who do you think you are? And how are you wired right now? Okay? Very simple. If you have a vision, if you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have something that's coming through you that you're looking to manifest, to tap into higher levels of abundance, if who you are, or who you think you are, at your core, is not in alignment with that version of you that can handle that vision, it's not going to manifest. Right? Why is it that so many people go, okay, all right, damn it, I'm overweight. I'm going to go and I'm going to do exercise every day for 12 weeks. I'm going to do the best diet and detox ever. And they get the result, but then they bounce right back. Why is that? Even sometimes they're still exercising and they're still doing the diets, but the weight still comes back. Because their identity of who they unconsciously think they are is not in alignment with who they need to be to handle that vision. In this case, that vision of them with the super hot body that goes to the gym every day. Right? Why is it that so many people look externally and go, hey, the vision is to manifest $100,000, and they go and they create it, and they're like, boom, 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 and they're doing everything strategically right. Sure enough, the money shows up, and they go, boom, I made it. What happens? They lose it. They lose it. It goes. They find some way to simply release it all back to the universe. Why? Because their identity not only isn't in alignment with that version of them that can manifest that money, it's not the identity that can keep the money either. Some people are really good at creating identities that can create a lot of money and a lot of cash flow, but if you don't have the identity of who do I need to become in order to keep it, it's a completely different game, right? You guys follow me on this? Okay, so the question to ask yourself quite simply is this, you can write this down. Who do I need to become in order to live into this vision automatically? Who do I need to become? And when we get deeper on this, you can start looking into things like, literally, how do I walk? How do I talk? Who do I associate with? Who do I hang around? Who's my environment? What do I tolerate in this world? What do I tolerate in my life? What do I tolerate in this category of life that I'm looking to manifest more in? What do I not tolerate? What am I now choosing to eliminate? What am I choosing to let go of? What am I choosing to release? What do I focus on each and every single day? Right? When I wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that comes into my head? What is my focus? What is my drive? What is my energy? What is this version of you eat? What do you put in your body? What do you fuel your body with? Right? Are you creating a container, even if your big vision isn't that relative around, say, a health goal? You know, what are you actually fueling your body with so your body can keep up with the vision that you're manifesting? Just as important. Can you get that? Sure. Yeah, same here. Do you want me to repeat those for you guys? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to warn you, I'm not good at repeating anything I say. But if I was to try and remember, something along the lines of, how do you show up every single day? How do you walk? How do you talk? How do you hold your body? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who's your environment? You are the sum of the 5 people you hang around. And I don't just mean financially, I mean in every area energetically, right? How do you fuel your body? What do you put in your body? Where are you centered in terms of self-love? Are you choosing love with every interaction and every relationship? So what do your relationships look like? All of this becomes simply a default of your inner identity. It becomes a default of who you are. Mic break. You can just put it on. Cool. Got it? Good? All right. Okay, guys, this is making sense. We've got your vision. We've got your inner identity, right? Making sure that you're showing up in alignment. Now, if you really are thinking, wow, okay, maybe I do need to become a higher version of me. Maybe I do need to call in this higher identity so that I can become this version of me to manifest this vision, then you can do this in so many ways. You can sit down and you can journal on this. You can spend time around people and have conversations that get this. You know, when I hang out with my friends, I don't know what normal people talk about, but we talk about this stuff, right? We talk about vision, we talk about what are you calling in, we talk about, wow, like what part of you is shifting and accelerating in order to become that version of you that simply taps into this, where it just shows up as a default automatically. You know, I surround myself, I choose to surround myself with people that call me on my shit. They go, hey Regan, like I don't think that's the highest version of you, right? I choose to be around people like that. It's not always comfortable, but I know it's going to constantly elevate my identity, which is then going to elevate my vision, which is going to allow more abundance to flow through me. You guys with me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So, next thing we need to look at, step number 3, is really looking at your underlying belief system. Okay? Because here's the thing. If you do the vision work and if you expand your capacity to see and receive your vision, if you dig deep into who you need to become, and you're showing up as that, like you're not just talking about it, you're actually doing it, showing up as that each and every single day. If you have a belief system that's holding you back, if you have a belief system that's keeping you stagnant, then it's going to feel like you're doing a lot, but you're not going to shift, okay? Who here knows that when it comes to letting more abundance flow into their life, they have some limiting beliefs going on, sitting under the surface, right? And for those of you that didn't raise your hand, you're either asleep or you're not that you're not aware that, quite simply this, you might want to write this down for you guys. If there's something that you're looking to call in or manifest in your life, and if it hasn't shown up in your external reality, if you can't physically touch it right now, there's internal blocks and limitations. Right? There's beliefs that are holding you back. Okay? And quite simply, it looks a little bit like this. I want to explain how this works because I think a lot of people get a little bit overwhelmed about beliefs and think, wow, there's so many, and I've had them for so many years, and how do I really change them? Like, this is crazy. And I want to show you something which is maybe going to create a little bit more ease around this. So, kind of looks something like this when I pull it out of my head, right? We have our beliefs over here. And then we have the action that we're taking in the world. And then we have some sort of result that we're manifesting, right? Some sort of result that we're manifesting through every area of our life. So, let's see. Has anyone been skiing before? Anyone been skiing? Okay, cool. If you haven't, it's not that hard. Put on some skis, go down the hill. Generally, if you haven't done it before, you suck, right? So what happens is that, let's say you're about to go skiing for the very first time. And a friend says to you, oh, you're going skiing? Oh my God, it's really hard. Like, it's super hard. Like, you're probably going to fall over for at least the first week. What happens to your belief right away? It goes down, right? You're not walking in going, wow, you know, I'm going to be a great skier. You're like, ugh, skiing's really hard, right? So what happens is unconsciously, this accelerates, whether you know it or like it or not, it accelerates your action and it diminishes the physical action that you take in the world, right? Then what does that do? That impacts your result. Obviously, you're scared and you're telling yourself unconsciously, skiing sucks and I'm really, really not that good at it, it's really hard. You're falling over. Every time you do that, you get this result where you go see and it validates this belief and your belief drops even further and further and further, right? Who's done this in something in their life, right? So what you need to realize is that regardless of what's going on, whether you're skiing or not, or whether it's something more simple, this cycles, okay? This belief action results theory cycles. Now, the cool thing is it's never in standstill, it's always cycling. But you can cycle it either way. You're either cycling it this way and you're diminishing your belief constantly, or you're accelerating it. It's not standstill. So let's flip it and say you're about to go skiing for the first time. Someone says to you, oh, skiing's amazing, super easy. You know what, if you get an instructor as well, just, pop on the skis, you'll be flying up the top by the end of the day. What happens to the belief? You're like, oh, okay, skiing sounds good, right? So you try a little bit harder. You might take a different action. You might choose to get an instructor instead of battling it out yourself, right? And then obviously your result is going to increase, which is going to cycle your belief system the other way. You guys with me? So, again, a lot of people get overwhelmed by beliefs and they're like, oh, we're man, like, there's just so many. Like, if I dig into my money beliefs, I have so much that's holding me back, and so much fear, and so much scarcity. Now, my question for you is simply this. If you are committed to changing your belief system, can you commit? Maybe you can't, but can you commit to increasing your beliefs and accelerating them by just 2% every single day? Could you just be just 2% better? Just 2? Right? Who thinks I can handle that? Come on. Right? 2%. Not like 100, like 2, right? Because what happens? You work on your beliefs and you increase it by just 2%. You accelerate your action by 2%. Your results accelerate by 2%. But then, you guys know what happens with compounding interest, right? If you leave $1,000 in the bank and you would save 2% on it, if you have a bank and you leave that money in there, you don't get 2% next time, you get 2% of the 2%, right? And then you get 2% of the 2% of the 2%, and it continues to compound. It continues to grow. And this is what happens when you then wake up and go, wow, my life completely changed. It's completely shifted. In fact, I'm not even sure how this happens. You see, guys, if you want abundance to flow into your life, commit to the 2%. So many people don't get this, and they go extreme on it, and they go, I'm going to commit to 70%. And I'll go back to the health example. They go, you know what, I'm going to lose a stack of weight. So what do? They get up and they go, I'm going to lose the weight. And they go, I'm going to go to the gym every day. And they go to the gym and they literally jump on the treadmill and they run for 20 minutes. Now this person hasn't run for 8 years, right? And they're running. What happens to their body the next day? It's sore, it's worn out. They wake up and they're like, oh, it's painful. So go to the gym. And then sure enough, within 5, 6, 7 days, usually they're out. Too much, right? But they were trying to tackle 70%. Not 2%. This is the person that goes to the gym and says, okay, I'm just going to walk for 15 minutes. And the next day I'm going to walk for 20. And then I'm going to walk for 30. And then I'm going to run for 5 and walk for 30. You guys with me? And it accelerates up. But so many people throw themselves off the other end and it ends up cycling back the other way. Making sense? Cool. Okay, alright. How are we going for time? We're doing good. We're doing really good. Okay. Question? Yeah, it's a challenging thing to measure, but I would say when it comes to this 2%, this should feel doable. That's the measure for you. And everyone's 2% is going to be a little bit different. If it's feeling hard and like it's way too much, you can't handle it every day, you're 3%, too much. Totally, it's feeling. And it's going to be different depending on the beliefs, depending on the unconscious wiring, depending on what it is. There's so much there, which, again, 2% should have this energy, guys. Okay, like I'm doing it, but I can't do it. No, I'm doing it and it's really hard right now. It's a feeling thing, totally, yeah.
What's some of the best ways to change your belief system? So if you did it, so what was the intention?
Yeah.
There's a number of different activities I'd be interested in now at the end of the presentation.
Yeah.
To hear like what's some of them in this.
Of course, it's a great question. For those of you that didn't hear that, he said, what is the fastest way or the most efficient way to change your belief system? And there's so many ways to do it. I got really obsessed with trying to figure out all the different ways for years and years and years, and you really can get lost, really lost in a lot of it. Pretty much, I think, done everything when it comes to changing your belief system and the work. What I've found, and it doesn't mean that all the other ways don't work, but I've found the most efficient way is simply awareness and then making a decision. And I feel like there's a lot of people in this industry that dress it up and they make it a big thing and they can sit you there for 5 days and do some other stuff with you, but at the same time, really, by asking yourself, what do I truly believe about this vision or about this next level? What are these beliefs? And writing them down and being super honest with yourself and looking at it and going, wow, you know what? I believe it's hard. I believe it's scary. I'm not sure that I can do it. All of these things come to the surface. It is actually enough to pull that, have awareness of it, because now it's not an unconscious underwrite, right? You're pulling it to your conscious mind, you're aware of it. You can look at it and go, and associate it or unassociate to it. And you simply go, okay, you know what? I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. I'm not going to choose to believe that. It is actually a conscious choice that you make. Now we're humans, and the next day you might wake up with the same belief. Don't beat yourself up. Don't say it didn't work. 2%, right? So you come back and you go, okay, cool. And something good that I let people know, and if you can write out the opposite of your limiting beliefs. So if, for example, you said, okay, my belief is that creating this vision is really, really, really hard. Well, you might want to cultivate a belief to override that. Instead of that, creating this vision is super fun and easy. Now, who said a belief to themselves and then gone, bullshit, right? It's like, I'd like to believe that, but I don't believe that at all. So instead, I say, well, is it possible for you to believe this in the future? Would it be possible to have this belief? And that's when you simply go, okay, I choose to believe that it could be possible for this to be fun and easy. I choose to believe that one day I could believe this. And you keep going and you keep going, because eventually you embody it. And when you journal every day or use meditation or talk to people, whatever method you want to use, I don't really mind what you do as long as you do this in a daily practice. All of a sudden the beliefs become your own. And then you forget to write them down because they're just there. And then the results just show up and they don't seem hard because they're just the results, right? It's like you don't sit there and go, I really believe the sky is blue, the sky is blue, the sky is, you're like, the sky is blue, right? You get to that unconscious override with it. Does that make sense? Is that a question? Cool.
Is there any, the ones you don't know, the subconscious ones, how do you identify? So I get it from awareness, I just don't know the ones that don't match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about blocks and limitations next, which is perfect. But basically that is an unconscious limitation. So, and this actually leads perfectly, guys. So the next step after you've started to rewire your belief system is to clear out the blocks. Blocks and limits holding you back, okay? Blocks and limits holding you back. So I had a point a few years ago where I'd done so much freaking work on myself. I was working with a mentor, and she said to me, I think it was a money goal, I can't remember, there was something I was looking to manifest and call in, and I was like, you know what, I don't know what's blocking me, like there's nothing blocking me. She's like, Regan, there must be unconscious limits because it hasn't shown up, so there's obviously limitations, and I was like, no, there's not. Like, I've done all the work. I've done everything. I've cleared out every limiting belief. There's nothing else there. And she looked at me and she said, Regan, you see, not being humble enough to see your own blocks and limitations, there's a block. Right? So it comes down to that. And simply, and when I get stuck on this, because I do all the time, asking myself, if I was to be humble enough to really see under the surface and see what was holding me back, what else is holding me back? And right. And what else is holding me back? And right. Question?
Yeah, I think I got a pretty good aha moment. You mentioned that how important would you, how do you know when it's time to step back? You said you went to Bali.
Yeah.
And how do you know when it's time to actually step back to create that vision?
Yeah.
How do you know when it's time to do that? Because if you keep pushing and pushing,
Yeah.
you're trying to create, you're trying too hard.
Right? You're manufacturing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you know when it's time to actually step back?
I think there's no perfect answer to that because it's obviously different for everyone and what you're going through. But for me, during that time of my life, I made a commitment that I was only going to live in alignment. So if you have that commitment, then the right time is right now. Because for me, if there's anything in my life that's out of alignment, if it doesn't feel good, I'm willing to pull it to the surface. I'm willing to break it, even if it doesn't make sense. I recently decided to shut off a branch of my business, which is doing over $1 million in revenue a year. And it didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. And it didn't make any logical sense. My team were like, what are you doing? Regan, come back to earth, right? I was like, no, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel in alignment. And I had to step back. And sure enough, as a result of breaking it, it's allowed us to expand into something so much more powerful and exciting, right? So it has to come down to that choice. And it's a feeling thing, and it's simply asking yourself, is this in alignment for me right now? If it is, yep, then it's a matter of sticking in and doing the work and making it happen. And if it's not, if your true answer is, hey, no, it's not actually in alignment, then it's time to kind of just man up and do it, which is not easy. Does that help? Does it make sense? Cool. Amazing question. Okay. So guys, blocks and limitations. Similar to what I said around shifting your belief system. If the results that you're looking to manifest aren't showing up right now in your life, then quite simply, there's internal blocks and limits holding you back. Okay? So what do you guys think some limitations and some blocks are? Let's just get some shout outs on this. What do you guys think?
Not good enough.
Not good enough. So, self-belief. Yep.
Or don't know enough. Not able.
Yep. So this all comes under not being good enough, self-belief. What else? Yep, it's impossible. So limiting beliefs. These are all limiting beliefs, right?
Well, it's tough to hold the time to do it's hard to pause.
Totally. Totally, absolutely. So again, all the limiting beliefs. It's hard, it's this, it's complicated, I don't know how. All of those limiting beliefs that can be brought to the surface and rewired. What else?
Guilt.
Being out of alignment. Yeah, so not listening, right? Not listening, not trusting alignment. What about fear, guys? Who here gets held back by fear? Be honest. It's a really human thing. Self-sabotage. What's that? Absolutely. So past experiences which then create limits of fear or of self-doubt or of self-sabotage or all of these things, right? So the thing to know, because there's, again, a lot of people out there in the personal development world that will tell you fear is not real. In fact, I'm going to probably punch a speaker if they say again that fear is not real. It is very real. It is so real. And it can consume you. It can literally hold you paralyzed and stagnant to where you are. So there are also a lot of people out there saying, you know what? We should just remove all of our limits. We should just release everything. No. Like, what about instead playing a game where you allow yourself to be beautifully human, but you allow yourself to dance with the limitations? The fear and the beliefs and the sabotage that comes up. What if you could play with it instead of trying to shut part of yourself down? Right? For years and years and years, I tried to shut all this stuff down. I thought, fear is bad, it's going to hold me back. Self-doubt is bad, it's going to limit my results, right? And surely over time, I started to shut it down and I started to numb myself. But guess what happens, guys, when you numb yourself emotionally? You numb all of it. And it's a trick, because if you're someone that's super happy and positive, you can still tap into love and gratitude and peace and all that good stuff. But if you're numbing this side of you, then you're not feeling the full capacity of all the good stuff either. Right, so a few years ago I started asking myself, okay, well, it's important to move through this still. So how do I help people and how do I do this myself in terms of learning to dance with the limits so that we love them for what they are, so that we acknowledge that, hey, we're beautifully human and it's okay. It's actually good that this stuff is coming up. It means I'm pushing forward. It means that I'm growing. But how do I dance with them so I don't shut them down, but I know how to handle them? That'd be a good thing to know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I do a lot of work with people around this, around really digging into this. And the coolest thing to know is, guys, change is instant. Change can be so fast. So many people out there telling you that you have to work so hard for so many years to finally believe in yourself. No, it's a choice. It really is a choice, and you can make any of these choices in an instant. So with the time today, I'm not going to go through each and every single one of these, but let's take fear as an example, because it really felt like fear does come up for a lot of people. Human thing. It's a good thing that it's coming up. It means that you're shifting out of your comfort zone and growing and expanding into more. But at the same time, if you don't learn how to manage fear, it will keep you stuck. It will keep you in one place. It will keep you paralyzed, emotionally and physically. So understanding each of these and learning how to dance with them is just a game. So for me, I thought, okay, fear, it's kind of like you're driving a car, right? You're driving the car of your life. And you're driving towards your vision, and you think, yeah, vision, I'm coming for you. Guess what? I'm coming for the upper limit of this vision too. So you're in the car and you're driving. And then all of a sudden, the fear starts to creep in, right? You guys know where it is in your body. You get that feeling. It starts to creep. You start going, oh, wow. And then with it comes all the self-doubt and everything else. And it's like in the car, the fear is creeping up behind you. It's grabbing your neck, and it starts to cover your eyes. So you can't even see where you're going. Who's had paralyzing fear like this before, right? It covers your eyes, and you're like, oh, my God. You know what, I just really need to get to the vision, but here's where you have a choice. Okay, here's where you have a choice. You can either choose to get out of the car, scream, freak out, and go, oh God, there's too much fear in the car, I can't handle it. Screw the vision, I'm just gonna stay here, right? Or you can turn around, you can stop the car temporarily, you can turn around and go, fear, I understand you're in the back seat. I understand you're here to keep me safe. I really need you in the back seat right now. I'm choosing to move forward and drive. Right? Who's with me on this? It's a choice. It's a decision. It doesn't need to be a big thing. But you're also not trying to kick fear out of the car, because good luck. Fear will come back. Fear will get through the window and up under the bonnet. It will come back into the car. I promise you. Right? So instead of trying constantly to call in more abundance, but block the limits and block all of the stuff that shows up, let's commit to being beautifully human. Right? Let's commit to having a full sensory experience, to allowing all of this to flow through you, but knowing how to dance with it at the same time. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on blocks and limitations before we move on? That's good. Feeling good? Yeah. Question.
I guess I'm wondering, how would you feel the difference of, like you said already, it's this feeling thing between the 2 and 3%?
Yeah.
How do you sense for yourselves when it's actual fear, or when something doesn't feel right, or when you're just in fear and resisting something?
Totally. Yeah, totally. It's a really great question. So once again, it's a feeling thing. It's a feeling answer. There's no analysis test you can take to figure this stuff out. You have to tune into your feeling, which is all part of feeling more, right? Harder to know when you're trying to shut this down because you're numbing all of it. So you also numb what I call your alignment meter, right? Where you can check whether things are in alignment. So very simple. You're simply going to ask yourself, when there's resistance coming up, when you find yourself sabotaging or not moving forward, you're going to ask yourself, okay, is what I'm doing right now, let's say it's writing a book, for argument's sake. I'm writing a book, but all this resistance is coming up, I'm not doing it, I'm sabotaging it, I'm going out and going to all the Mindvalley parties instead of writing my book, right? And so you simply ask yourself, okay, not is the action in alignment, but is the result I'm looking to call in alignment? Is this my truth? Is this book, in this case, accelerating me towards my upper vision? Or is it something that I know how to do? Is it a beautiful distraction? Is it something that someone's told me to do? Is it actually my truth? Is it my soul work? Is it my vision? Is it what I am being called to do right now? Because guess what, guys? You can be in expansion or you can be in contraction, but you can't be in both. Okay, when it comes to abundance, you can be in this space of expanding and receiving and having everything flow, and that's when you're in what's called synchronicity, right? I know a lot of speakers have spoken about that, where everything just shows up, the right people show up, you feel good, everything's in flow. Yeah, there's some resistance, but you seem to move through it with ease, or you can be in contraction. where you get stuck in fear, you get stuck in scarcity, you get stuck in this place where things just don't work. You seem to hit your head on a wall constantly. You know, you go to a meeting and the person doesn't show up and you're just like, what is going on, right? Huge sign that you're out of alignment. Now, when you're in alignment, these can still show up. So it's simply a question of, is this result accelerating me in an expansive way? Is it increasing my options towards my upper limit and my upper vision? Or is it something that I'm really battling with and the resistance is coming because it's taking me out of alignment? Now, you have to be so treated when asking this question, and you have to continue to say, I ask this for everything. I get asked to speak for Mindvalley, and instead of going, oh wow, that's so cool, I go, is this in alignment? Does this feel good? Does this get me towards my vision? Is this my truth? Is this my self tip? Okay, yeah, I'm in. Rather than just saying yes for the sake of saying yes, right? Now remember, you can be 2% out of alignment and still be way out of alignment, right? The power of 2%. Should have called this talk the power of 2%. It keeps coming up, right? But seriously, that was like the business I created that was hugely successful in most people's terms, but was 2% out of alignment for me, and it threw my whole life out of whack. Listen, trust. Makes sense? Cool. Okay. So, we've got our vision, we've got accelerating to the upper vision. We've got our identity. We're then tapping into rewiring our belief system and playing with our blocks and limitations. So before we move on, question? Yeah.
Hi, Tiago. If you're coaching someone, you work the vision system, you work the blocks and the limits, but you feel that the decision inside is not taken. How can we manage that? Is that the work is done wrong? Am I doing the work in a bad way? What can I do to change that choice? Because if I don't have the choice,
Yeah.
I don't have the rest.
You're asking how do you be fully committed to creating the vision?
Yeah. To commit completely. Decide. It's an internal decision. You know it very well. No, you decide it, and then you go, and then you don't stop.
Sure.
But the sensation I have is that we work a lot, but the choice is not yet made.
Okay.
How can I do it?
Yeah, totally. So if you're working with a client, if you're working with someone, I'd be going back to the alignment check that we just spoke about, right? Because when something's in alignment, and even if the blocks and limitations come up, it's still very easy to commit to because it feels good. It's in alignment. It shouldn't be a massive struggle for you to commit to that. But in saying that, if these blocks and limitations come up, it can feel like they're not fully committed and they're not in because there's more work to be done here. So once these are released, once these are gone, it's easy to commit because it feels like there's no resistance anymore. Okay? The other side of it is really looking at, is this in alignment? And really asking your client or yourself, whichever case it is, you know what, is this actually my truth? Right? Just because this is a good idea, is it actually accelerating it to this core vision? You know what, sometimes guys, there's so much power in saying no. There's so much power in turning things down. There's so much power in going, I'm not going to create that. Because again, contraction or expansion, you're actually creating space for more to flow into your life, okay? Now, if your client is adamant, if they're like, this is in alignment, I love this is my vision, I just feel like I'm not fully committed right now, I feel like we've worked on all these blocks and limitations, one thing that you can do to help them is you can basically unconsciously motivate them, okay? So everyone's motivated on a scale, right? Between pain and between pleasure, okay? Now, it's not like one's pain and one's pleasure with people. We're different. We're on this sliding scale each and every single time. And depending on what it is and who it is and what's coming up, people are motivated in a slightly different way each time. So it's really tapping into the person that you're working with in this case. Are they more motivated by pain in this situation, or are they more motivated by pleasure? Now, to give you a rough example for you guys, about 80% of society is motivated by pain. They're pain orientated. They wait until they get, really, really, really broke, and then they decide they should learn how to make money. They wait until they get super overweight, and then they should go to the gym. It's pain. It's become so painful what they're living into that then they take action and moves them. A very few percent of society is motivated by the pleasurable idea, by the outcome they could have potentially. It's like a dream state, right? So if you figure out what's going on here, and you can simply even just have a short conversation with your client and start to really drill this in. So for example, if it's, let's say it's a money goal, and they're like, yeah, I'm really committed to this money goal, it's in alignment, but I feel like there's something there, I'm just not quite moving, and you remove the blocks and the limitations. If they're pain orientated, I'd be then asking questions like, well, what's really going to happen if you don't do this? Like, what is the reality if you don't go and manifest this? How's this going to affect your family? How's this going to affect your social status? How's this going to affect what people think of you in business? I would be driving in pain to make them unconsciously go, okay, I'll move, right? And the opposite is someone's pleasure driven, right? And really painting like, hey, like, have you really tuned in? Like, imagine what this is going to do for you. Imagine what your family's going to say about you. Imagine all the good work that you're doing in the world, the people that you're going to touch and inspire. Imagine the stages you're going to speak on when you share about this result, but only if you've done it. You want to do it, right? So tapping into where are they motivated on the scale, okay? And don't be afraid if they're pain orientated to really go to the pain as well, okay? As with service and love, of course, but some people need a shitload of pain to move as well. Make sense? Okay, one more question. Yeah.
So let's say the answer is yes to it's in alignment with my higher vision. But what about the ego? Like, do you invest in your ego? Like, or you just put it aside? No, this is for my higher vision, because I think like ego has needs as well.
Totally great question. And look, we touched on it in the very, very beginning. And I said there's two types of people when creating vision. There's someone that's creating vision from the ego, and they're looking to manufacture what they think they want in their life, versus someone who becomes available for what needs to flow through them and manifest. And it's really just a decision. And it's an awareness. Because I believe that 99.9% of people are just creating visions from ego. Right? Really. Like outside of this room, obviously. Right? There's people that have no idea. You're taught to go to school and create a goal and goal set and then go and get that, and you're creating from a space of what do I think I want, right? Versus actually stopping, creating space in your life, becoming open and allowing yourself to go, you know what, if I was to become available, what message am I receiving that needs to flow through me right now? Now the crazy thing is, often when you become available to your vision like that, it's not often about you, right? It's often about what needs to come through and as an act of service to the world. And then all the other stuff, the loving relationships, the money, the success, whatever it is, kind of happens as a default. So I'm saying you can have it all. I'm saying you can manifest it all. I'm saying you can have the best vision in the whole world, but where's your intention? Is your intention to create it because your ego wants that vision, or is your intention to become available to what needs to flow through you? Makes sense? It's a choice. It's a choice. It can take some work as well, especially if this is a new concept, but it really just comes down to making that choice and tapping into it daily. You know, vision work isn't necessarily something where you sit down like right now and get it and you're like, there's my vision. It can take work. It takes time. Sit down, journal about it, create a daily practice around it. Really ask yourself each day, be still. Whatever tools work for you, if it's meditation and receiving downloads, if it's journaling, if it's talking to people in an amazing environment and bouncing ideas off them and letting this stuff flow through you. Have you ever received an idea and you're like, wow, I just had the best idea, where did that come from? Have you had that before? That's because you were available. And chances are that's part of your vision, rather than ego sits down and what do I need to do to create something?
I wonder about you, like you've never given up your ego, like 100%?
No, of course, it's a journey. Yeah, I'm human. Yeah, I have a lot of ego. I'll tell you, I have a lot of ego. We both have a lot of ego. It's a constant journey, but it's a constant check-in as well. Alignment's in a game, and it's a daily game too, right? I don't live my life 100% in alignment. It's the goal, for sure. But there's times where I get pulled and swayed and ego wins, and then I come back and go, okay, learn from that. I wasn't listening, I didn't tap in, I wasn't creating from source, I was creating from a manufactured place. And what does ego want? I'm learning, I'm a student too. But the more you do it, the better you get, absolutely. Cool. All right, everyone good? Let's keep going forward. And what I want to share with you guys now is step number 5, and really digging in on, okay, now we've done all this internal work. We've really got clear on the vision. We've looked at who are you and who do you need to become in this world in order to call in your higher identity and become that version of you that simply manifest the vision as a default. We looked at rewiring your belief system. We then looked at removing unconscious blocks and limitations. Now here's one of the biggest traps, especially for personal development junkies in the room. If you love doing the inner work, if this is all really fun for you, and you're like, cool, I'm going to go away and do all of this and write this down and do this daily, you have to actually take the action in the external world, okay? You actually do have to do something, right? Now, I do a lot of coaching and mentoring of people. I help artists, leaders, creators make millions of dollars, impact millions of people. That doesn't come just from sitting on this chair, right? They actually do some good stuff, and of course they do some strategic stuff, but it's strategy created not from manufacturing how do I do this and what's the best way to do that, but instead of what would I be doing and acting now if I wasn't in alignment with this vision? What do I do to actually just accelerate this process? Okay? So step number 5 is taking aligned. Does aligned have 2 L's? I don't even know. 1 L. Oh no, here we go. Taking aligned action. Taking aligned action. Right. So don't get caught in the trap of thinking that you can just do all your internal work. Remember the 20%. But the beauty of it is the 20%, if you nail the rest of this, if you nail the 80%, the 20% should simply be a default, right? It should happen with ease. It can happen with flow. It can definitely happen with grace. It does not have to be a struggle. It does not have to be hard work. And if you nail the rest of it, it won't be. Okay? It will be from this beautiful place where you can't not take the aligned action, because all of this is simply just who you are, and that's what's driving you internally to create the results. Does that make sense? Okay. So I want to run through 3 different unconscious patterns that I see with people, which really are unconscious overrides in the action that they take in the physical world. And I want to run through the 3 of them so that you can have a look at yourself and really check in and take your pulse on these and go, wow, you know what? Where am I at unconsciously in terms of how quickly I'm manifesting results, okay? So I often, before we dig into that actually, I often get asked the question, Regan, how do I know what action to take, right? How do I figure out the strategy? Now, remember, we're not playing the game anymore of how do we manufacture it, how do I create it, we're allowing it to come through us. So we need to adopt that mindset. That needs to be a part of our identity, that needs to be a part of our belief system. So instead of asking yourself, what do I need to do? How do I do this? Who are my how people, by the way? Who's always asking, like, how do I do this? How do I figure it out? Right? Yes, cool. Okay, instead of asking that, this will satisfy your how cravings, okay? Simply ask yourself, what would the higher version of me do right now in order to accelerate the process? Okay? What would the higher version of me do right now in order to accelerate the process or accelerate the results showing up? Right? Because I want you to just check in energetically on those 2 statements. Person 1's going, how do I do it? How do I do it? What do I do? How do I do it? What's the strategy? How do I do it? What energy does that have? Has an energy of, I don't know how to do it. I've got to figure out how to do it. It might not be the right way. I might not even get there. It might not manifest. It's the energy behind it, right? It's what everyone does in society, which is why most of them fail at manifesting their abundance. Versus coming into the energy of playing the energetic game of going, hey, you know what? It's done. I already know it's done because it's inevitable, because it's not my vision, it's the vision flowing through me, and I'm choosing to be available. So instead, asking yourself, okay, what does the higher version of me, what does the higher identity of me choose to do right now so that I simply speed this up, so that I can become a vessel to manifest at a faster rate because it's already done. Check in on the energy there. It's an energy of knowing it's done, knowing it's happening, knowing it's already going to manifest. There's no doubt. There's no, what do I need to do to make it happen? It's simply, what do I do to have it show up faster? You guys with me on this?
Yeah.
Alright, so check in with that question always. And I kind of say, like, for all my how people in the room, and I'm a big one, by the way, I used to really battle with this, like, big time. It's kind of like a drug. Like, asking yourself about the how is like a drug, and sometimes your mind just needs a little hit, right? So just be okay with giving yourself that, and don't beat yourself up if you go into the how do I, just simply go, okay, you know what does the higher version of me need to do right now in order to make this manifest? That will satisfy your cravings for the how. Because then you can sit down and write out a list and go, well, I would be doing this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And you can get to the end of it and throw away the list, because you already know what to do. It's already coming through you. You already had the answer. You didn't need to figure anything out. But if you feel like you do, you can go and write it down. Sense? Okay. So, 3 types of people that I want to run through with you guys. This is very much the unconscious pattern override that I see show up with people when it comes to taking the physical action in the external world, okay? So the first type of person or pattern that I want to share with you is someone called a stressor, okay? Now, in order to have this make sense, I'm going to put time down here. Time is a variable. For some people this is like a day, for some people this is like 7 years of their life, okay? You get to choose. And then up here, this is the desired result along here. So this is whatever it is you're looking to manifest, call in the abundance that you're looking to have flow, okay? Everyone good? Yeah. Okay, so what happens is the stressor starts out, and the stressor's at A. So A is wherever you're at right now, basically, in your life, in this category of life. It's the same for everything. And you go, the stressor goes, okay, well, I'm very aware, like, here's my reality, these are my results, but my vision is like up here, right? I really want to get to B. B's enticing, B's exciting, B's aligned, B feels awesome, right? So, and I want you to just check in any stressors in the room if you identify for this. So the stressor starts out, and the stressor starts at A, and he starts going, well, what would I do to accelerate the process? And he starts doing that. He starts taking the action, and he's going, yeah, you know what, I'm getting closer and closer to B. This is good. And then all of a sudden, this happens. What's that called? A plateau, right? Everyone say it, plateau. Plateau, right? Who's had a plateau, by the way, in their life ever? Okay. If you haven't, probably not a human, right? Very normal. Happens all the time, regardless of any level of anything you're looking to manifest. So, what happens is that the stressor stops and he goes, damn it, you know what? I was getting so close to B. Oh man, what do I do? So here's what the stressor does. Take note. The stressor goes, well, I've got to get to B. It's really important to get to B. He does this. He goes, okay, I'm just going to try everything I can. I'm going to keep going. I've got to get to B. I'm going to do it. Get out of my way. He stresses out every single person around him, every family unit, every dog, and then eventually, breaks through. Right? Yeah. Stresses. Come on, be honest. Thank you. Right? Pattern. But the good news about the stressor is he does keep going. She does break through. They do get there eventually. They stress out everybody around them. They're definitely not my spirit. So, the stressor keeps going. The stressor goes, see, well, whew, that was worth it, right? Finally, I got to B. Almost, I got to B, but guess what? Right before B, happens every time, plateau. What do you think happens? Stressor stresses out, repeats the same pattern. Everyone really hates them right now, but eventually they do get there. Okay? Now, this can take years of your life. Years and years and years and years and years. I'm not kidding, right? Who knows the stressor? And they're like doing this right now, right? It's like, oh God, get away from me. Like, the crazy thing is, you know they're never going to give up. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep stressing until they get to B. There's no option to go back to A. Okay? Be aware of the stressors. That is pattern number 1. Now, pattern number 2. Same deal. We've got time. Variable down here. We're starting at A. We're looking to go to B. We've got the desired result up here. This next person is called a dabbler. Okay? Guys, these patterns are real. I'm serious, right? So, dabbler's already like, oh God, she's going to draw me. Right? So, dabbler. Dabbler. Okay. Who knows what the dabbler does, by the way? They dabble, right? Hey, you guys with me? Well, I'll show you what it means. Okay, so... Huh? Yes, I will write that. Dabblers are like, are you sure this is me? Can you spell it and then I'll decide if it's me? Okay. So, the dabblers start out, they go through, they want to get to B, and sure enough, they hit a plateau, right? Human, happens every time. Who knows what the dabbler does? Gives up. Right, totally, you got it. The dabbler gives up. The dabbler goes, hey, plateau. Well, that's obviously not my thing. It's not my thing. It didn't work out. And I don't really do resistance and stressing like all these other people say. But guys, guess what? Found it. I'm going to get to B. I'm going to do it this way. You ready? Hey, watch me. See? Told you. Oh. Okay. Well, that didn't work. Well, here's the thing, guys. It's going to be fine because I found this new thing. Everything you can think of, dabblers will do this. Dabblers? Okay. Got it. So, the challenging thing with dabblers is that they tend to never really get to the big vision stuff. Right? And it's kind of debatable whether it's better to be a stresser or a dabbler, to be honest. I used to be a straddler. I was like this, I'd stress out and then give up. And then be like, see, I worked really hard. It wasn't my thing, and this is going to work, right? Who knows those annoying dabblers in business that come to you with a new business opportunity every 4 months? It's like on clockwork. They're like, oh, another one. No, I don't want to be involved. Thank you very much, right? It keeps going, okay? It's an unconscious pattern simply because they don't know how to handle the plateaus. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're not driven. It doesn't mean they're not motivated. It doesn't mean that they have massive visions. They just simply don't know how to manage the plateaus. It's not wired in their system to stress through them so they don't do it. Is everyone with me? Okay. So, do you guys want to see the third type of person? Yeah. Okay. And would it be good to maybe have a more efficient way to handle this shit? Would that be a good thing? Right? So, there's a third type of person, okay? And remember, this is not who you are. These are pattern overrides of some choices and how you live your life. But you have a decision in any moment to play the game a little bit differently. And it's just awareness and it's just choice, right? So I get asked all the time, Regan, you've kind of done a lot for your age. How did you do it so quickly? How does this work through multiple different areas of my life? I'm the first to say I know nothing, but I do know how to do this. And this has been the thing that's allowed me to move really quickly, to create massive results, and to do it from a place of ease and grace, and not from struggle. Okay? You guys kind of interested in this one? Cool. Alright, so the next type of person, we could label these whatever, but let's call them an achiever, because ultimately they achieve this outcome, again, with ease and grace. So, what's interesting is a mentor of mine showed me this, and when I saw this, I was mind blown, because it's so simple, it's so basic. It was one of those moments where I was like, why didn't I think of that, right? But it also allowed me to stop being a straggler and stop stressing out and giving up on everything in my life, and allowed me to move forward. So, with the achiever, a couple of different things happen. Firstly, okay, the achiever starts out at A, just like everyone else, just like the stressor, just like the dabbler. The difference is why they want to get to B. Now, it can be, like we talked about, a pleasure why for why they're getting to B, or it can be a pain of moving away from A. Doesn't matter. But either way, they're super freaking motivated, right? They know they're not staying at A and they're ready to do whatever it takes, right? Here, they're clear on their B, but they're also clear on their, let's call it a B1. You know how we talked about your vision and then your upper vision? They can always see beyond the B. They're not going for the B, they're going for really the step before the B, but they know B's a stepping stone to get to the upper vision, so they're connected in that, okay? They're then not looking to go from a place of externally manufacturing things like we talked about. They're really ready and available to come from this place of what does the higher vision may need to do in order just to accelerate this and to have it show up even faster. Okay. So they take massive action and they start out just like everyone else. They go through, they think it's going really well, and then eventually they hit a plateau, right? Same deal. Now, this is where they separate, and this is where the achiever does something very different to the stressor and to the dabbler. And you can write these down as steps if you want. The first thing the achiever does, step number 1, is that they stop. They stop. Okay? They don't stress out and they don't give up. They stop. They stop what they're doing. Second thing, step number 2, is they are aware they're at a plateau. Some stressors don't even know they're plateauing when they're stressing out like that. Okay? They actually stop. The achiever stops and goes, huh, interesting. Plateau. Not moving forward. Okay? And then the third step, this is what the achiever does. It's so simple, guys. The achiever says, who do I know or who do I find that is at B or helps people get to B? That's it. Okay? Who do I know or who do I find that is at B or B1? or helps people get to be what they want. Okay? And then step number 4 is they find that person. And this is really, if I'm going to be honest, what separates the achievers from the stressers and the dabblers. Some people still get this far, but they're not willing to do step 4, so they go back to stressing or dabbling. The achiever will do whatever it takes to be around this person, to learn from this person, to invest with this person, to literally sell their car so they can do whatever it takes to figure this out. They are so committed to getting to bed in their bedroom, right? So I want you to know as well that finding this person isn't always convenient. It's not like the next door neighbor, because if it was, you'd probably not have the plateau, right? So they find this person, they hunt them down. It might be online, it might be in person, it might be at an event, whatever. They find this person, or they ask someone, who do you know that can help me specifically with this? And they do whatever it takes to get close to them. They do whatever it takes to get close to them, to learn from them. And then when they're there and when they're close to them, they have a conversation with them. It looks something like this. Achiever says, hey, person at B or B1, I really respect and admire you there. And you know what, I have a dream. I have a dream to go there. In fact, I feel it in my core. And I really know. I know that I'm put here to be here. But here's the thing, I'm a little bit stuck. And you know, I'm humble enough to say I'm stuck. I'm kind of in this plateau right now, and I'm just not moving. And generally, the person at B or B1 goes, oh yeah, I remember that plateau. All right, here's what you do. Do this, do this, do this. Definitely don't do this, 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 or this. And the achiever goes, really? That's it? And they go, yeah, you're welcome. And the achiever goes, thanks so much. And they go, right? And eventually this happens, and what do? It may happen beyond this, whatever, maybe the same person, maybe different. They repeat the pattern, right? You guys with me?
Yes.
And I saw this, I was like, shit, why did I think of that? It's so simple, right? And they go, and their journey ends up looking so much more ease, grace, and flow, trust, surrender, just taking the action, of course, aligning it with the internal work that we talked about, but taking action externally in this way. People ask me, Regan, how have you done this? I'm like, I haven't figured anything out. I'm actually really not that smart. I just know how to do this. I'm just super committed. I just find it difficult. I'm the biggest student. I'm so willing to learn. I'm so willing to learn from everybody, right? And I listen, and I trust, and I do whatever it takes to find that person. If I had a vision, if I woke up tomorrow and thought, oh gosh, my vision is to run a marathon. Never done that. Let's say it was. If my vision is to run a marathon, I'm not going to just go to the gym and try and run a marathon. I'm going to find someone that runs marathons or trains marathon runners. I'm going to find them. I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'm going to have them get me to be. You guys with me?
Yes.
Okay, so question, stressors, dabblers, strugglers, who now commits to being an achiever and actually using this pattern override. It's just a choice. And if you drop into stress, and if you drop into dabbling and giving up, don't beat yourself up, you're a human, but just be aware, have this awareness, and bring yourself back to this room and be like, okay, Regan would make me put my hand up and be like, I'm stressing right now, and come back to this. And sometimes it can be the simplest thing. It might be like, wow, who can get me through this plateau? It might be a YouTube video you go and find. That might be it. Or it might be super high-level mentoring, one-on-one with someone for like a year, whatever. Do what it takes in order to move through, okay? Making sense, guys?
Yes.
How are we going for time? We're doing good. Okay, so I have a really cool practical exercise that I want to take you guys through, which is super powerful, which is something I use on repeat. And it's something which is going to completely rewire you internally and really open you up to receiving abundance and manifesting what you desire. Before we do that, are there any questions that anyone has on these pattern overrides? Is there any questions that anyone has on the vision, on locking an identity, on shifting a belief system, on running through blocks and limitations, or taking aligned actions? Let's take some questions now. Yeah, we've got one over there.
Yeah, I guess my question is that how do I know I'm not dabbling when I'm trying to find someone at B or B1?
Great question. Simply because you're taking intentional action to move you forward, you're not giving up. Right? So a dabbler would stop, like literally stop and go and try something new themselves, thinking that they have the answer. I'm stopping, but I'm now like finding someone to actually accelerate me forward to this result instead of giving up on it. Does that make sense?
So
Unless, of course, the the mentor or the coach or the person or the marathon runner, whoever you're working with, unless they tell you, hey, stop doing this, that doesn't work, go do this, then you're still using the achiever mindset.
Even if it takes multiple people.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing, with this and the achiever pattern override, it may be multiple different people, it may be one person for ages and then multiple people through your journey. I have a stack of different coaches and mentors in every area of my life. Some of them it's full on constant that I work with permanently, other people I drop in and out when I hit different plateaus or when I want to accelerate. So yeah, absolutely. You have a buffet of people to get you there faster. Yes to that. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your talk. I had a question around the vision.
Yeah.
So, if let's say you're in your identity level,
yeah.
I'm noticing that I'm blocked in the vision because I recognize that I'm not yet changed some of the beliefs inside me. I'm like, I'm going to create a vision, V and V1 based on who I am right now, which is already limited, you know?
Yes.
So it's a how question.
Yes.
So I was wondering,
tell me your how question.
How can I get over that block?
Yeah, okay, perfect. So it is a great question. And the biggest thing is to simply ask yourself, okay, if I was to create a vision or receive a vision or download a vision from the higher version of me, what would that vision look like? Right? And if you do it and you feel like, oh, kind of like what you just said, oh, that's still from who I am now, go, okay, great, that's perfect. What's the vision then? What's the next level? You might need to do that 3 or 4 times to get past your identity that's holding you stuck. But I promise you, if you keep going, your vision should be like big, wow. Upper vision should almost be like, oh yeah, it's really big. It's really big, yeah.
And is it something we should be doing, we feel
Totally, absolutely. So you can find your tool, you can find your method. I'm not a big believer in this one secret way. I am a believer in do what's good for you, do what's right for you. For me, I love journaling. I journal pretty much every day. I love writing. And maybe just tuning in and listening, maybe visualization, maybe yoga, could be whatever it is, whatever your tool is, as long as you're allowing yourself to tune in. And emotionally, the feelings associated with having already received that vision. If you're writing a vision, you're like, well, that looks beautiful. What would it feel like if it was real, right? Because this is another whole talk, but basically, if you're not vibrating at the same energetic frequency, of having it already done and shown up, which even just doing the upper vision is going to help you do because it will come naturally. The more you can tap into that, do that. So journaling, anything, do it daily until it becomes so normal and it's shifting and accelerating that you may check in once every week. Yeah.
Regarding the belief system, I like the idea of working results, but what about when you go, if you go to a place where you can on your business, on your health? I mean, yes, there is from a building.